Now, I would sit here and I would talk about how sorry I am for leaving for nearly a year again, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm not. What started this kind of hiatus was I hired 3 animators to animate my logo. The first one sent me total AI slop. The second one straight up ghosted me. And the third one is the one that I should have gone with since the jump. You actually can't see it, yeah, but I'll post a picture like right here. They did like this really nice painting of Danny and I for our anniversary. And I reached out to them and I was like, do you think you could do this logo for me? And they were 100% down. I was super excited. And then they got into like a really gnarly car crash. And they were even still down to do the project, but they were just like, hey man, it might take a while. And I was like, please just go focus on your health. Literally was getting an MRI done and telling me like, I'm working on your logo, don't worry. So I wanted to post with the new logo because I have been teasing the fact that I was thinking of the name and I was going to come back with the name and yada yada yada. By the way, the name of the podcast is Okay But Listen. I know so many people are going to be upset that I didn't go with Cafecito, but I have Cafecito saved for something else. And if by the time I'm done editing this, I should have edited an intro for that. So if I did, roll it now. But yeah, that's just like the placeholder for now. I did want to have like a little mini me, which my animator is working on after she gets in good health. Also, I know the microphone setup is a little much. I might switch this like mic guard out for another one. My boyfriend's a musician and this is what I have right now. I gave my mics to my best friend because he wanted to start his own ASMR channel / just like voiceover channel. But yeah, I know this seems like a lot, but it's really not. But then continuing on with like the fact that I wasn't posting, my boyfriend and I also started apartment hunting. At the time that I posted the 2 episodes back like 8 months ago, my boyfriend and I were living in a room in his parents' house. Not that there was anything wrong with that. I just didn't want to be screaming and like making a whole bunch of noise just trying to film this podcast because I wanted to be respectful to the people that lived in the house. So I just kept telling myself like, oh, once I get a place, I'm gonna fully like dive deep into like my creative endeavors, which I did for like my business side of things, but like not really the podcast because I wanted to set this up and just have it be like somewhat nice. The bottom down here is pretty empty. We're filling it up now. 2 of my posters actually just fell, so I'll put that back later. But with apartment hunting, obviously came apartment applying and apartment accepting. And moving, honestly, was like the worst time of my life. You don't really realize how much you have until you have to start moving it. And it was like me, my boyfriend, and my best friend Paul, and my boyfriend's cousin. And what we didn't know was that like the side of the apartment that we're on, we're basically on the other side of the earth. So like our parking space is like way down there. We didn't have a wagon. We didn't have any sort of like dolly. So having to bring up everything just using like your own strength definitely slowed a lot of things down, but also just everyone was so tired. And then also having to just like buy furniture that you've never had in your life before. Having to buy a couch, although we didn't have to buy this couch because a girl downstairs was just giving this away. So we brought it up here and it's been great. I love this couch. Saved ourselves $150. Actually more like $350 because we actually looked this couch up and like store bought it's like close to $400, which is like crazy. So thank you. And just a whole bunch of other different things that people don't really tell you about, like renter's insurance, FPL. If you have a dishwasher, you have to buy like dishwasher tablets. You have to run the water for a certain amount of time to make sure it's not like gooky and yucky. You got to run like every appliance, so just in case something's messed up, you can go downstairs and tell the people like, this is fucked up, like please go change it. So we're running like dishwasher, we're running the fucking oven, we're running like the washer and dryer, we're running everything, all while like still going to work, making sure we eat, drinking water, like maybe going to the gym every now and again. And did you think I was gonna sit down and pull out a camera, pull out my monitor, pull out my lights, pull out my script, pull out everything? No. I was still active on like TikTok and Instagram. I feel like with short form content, that's always going to be easier. But now I'm in like a good space. Like I'm really trying to be like more creative in every way and just making sure that I'm always using my creative outlets. And I have been nonstop thinking about this podcast like the whole year that I've been gone. I really like my little logo. I made that logo like last week and it just really made me like so excited to come back and talk again. But I didn't want this episode to just be like me talking about like, oh, why I was gone and whatever. This is a comeback, so we're gonna talk about comebacks in pop culture media. Yes, we're talking about heated rivalry. Just give me a second. This year has been pretty crazy music-wise. I mean, we've had like Bruno Mars, Ariana Grande, Cardi B. You got motherfucking Zayn out on tour. When does that motherfucker ever leave his house? Swear to God, it's like once I buy a ticket, I'm like, okay, I need to financially recover from this. Another artist is like, hey, I'm actually going on tour. And it's my last tour ever, actually, before I retire for the rest of my life. So better get the pit. I will admit the only one that I didn't jump at immediately was the Harry Styles residency tour in New York for Madison Square Garden. Did I like nearly consider it? Yeah, I did. But I had just come back from New York when those tickets had dropped. Having to account flight, hotel, tickets, getting to the venue, merch, time off from work. It was just going to be a lot. And I don't know why we're not acting like this man isn't gonna have a separate tour for this album. Love on Tour, he was on tour for like 2 fucking years. We're gonna catch him at some point. And I'm no stranger for crossing state lines for a concert, unfortunately. I crossed state lines to go see Pierce LaVale in New York. Upstate New York at that. Like, dude, we had to pass over Pennsylvania to get to New York. I'm going to Georgia for Ariana Grande in like June. And a lot of the times I'm driving up to Orlando just to go see an artist. Artists don't like coming to Miami, which I don't even blame them because the shows that I go to here in Miami are so boring. If I go anywhere else, it's so much more hype. That's like with the Harry Styles tour. I was kind of able to like reason with myself a little bit and just be like, all right, he's probably going to go on tour. Plus with all the money I would spend for like the New York residency one, would probably equal a cruise to Mexico at that point. At that point, I would much rather take the cruise to Mexico. But trust and believe when those tickets come out for the tour. Alright. Sorry, my camera just stopped recording. Don't really know what happened there. But not even just with music. If we look at things that have made a comeback, for example, Euphoria. I've never seen an episode in my life. Sorry. I feel like so many things have happened with that cast. Either some of them passing away super, super young, passing away in general, or like that thing that just came out with like Labyrinth talking about like, oh, like double fuck Euphoria, whatever is going on with that. I haven't seen a second of the show, but I have told my friends that have seen it what I think the plot is based off of like clips I've seen on TikTok or just things I've seen on social media, and they have said I have gotten it pretty spot on. So don't mean to brag, but that show's pretty fucking predictable. Thank God it came out because even I'm stressed out over Rue that owes that woman money. The woman that plays that woman that's like, really, you owe me money. She came up on my For You page recently. She doesn't even have to act. She literally talks like that in real life. You just imagine showing up on set and just like being yourself. Like, I feel like that's like the easiest gig that you could get. Another form of media that's making a comeback that I really didn't think needed a comeback, The Devil Wears Prada 2. Correct me if I'm stupid, but didn't the first one literally end with her like throwing her phone into the water and she's basically quitting on like Meryl Streep's character, and then Meryl Streep's character is like, yeah, good for her, and Anne Hathaway is kind of just like determining that she like needs to do like stuff that's bigger for her in her life and like what she imagined, and like she needs to just like go for it. I feel like that is the most perfect ending to any type of movie like that, and I think that ending really was just like, we don't need a sequel to this. We don't need to know what happens in the future with any of these characters. I will say it does suck that Simon Baker is not going to be in this one, because when I tell you Simon Baker was my man as a kid, oh my god, he was the first like male celebrity when I was a kid that I was like, oh my god, like men are hot. My mom used to watch The Mentalist, so then I started watching The Mentalist just because he was pretty to look at. But I mean, trust and believe, I will be sitting in that theater watching this movie, but I am curious to see like where they'll take it, and I hope to God that they don't ruin it. Such a classic of a film. That's like bringing back, like, I was gonna say The Lion King, but they brought like even like a half movie for that, and I hated that movie as a kid. That's another thing we can discuss at a later time. Now, you know what does need to make a fucking comeback already? Fucking GTA. My god. I mean, I get it. Replicating an entire city down to like the blade of fucking grass is insane. But the amount of years we have waited and then 2 fucking pushbacks, keep it at that point. What the fuck? I feel like it really has been like enough time since the last one. And especially with like how fast technology is like growing, I feel like it definitely should have been done. I only pray and hope to God that they don't turn to like some fucking AI generated slop bullshit that really just like makes all this waiting just the biggest waste of fucking time. But I'm super, super interested to see how much of Miami is in it. Like, can I go to my parents' house? Or like, are they only keeping it to like downtown and like Fort Lauderdale? Because like, you bitches love to come to Fort Lauderdale when you come to Miami, huh? Yeah, I see you. You ever go to like Fort Lauderdale during like spring break? It's just like fucking like boom boxes of like Bad Bunny, JBL. People fucked up on like Twisted Teas, fucking neon red because no one wears sunblock. Just like every single stock of Buzzball like Wawa had to offer stuffed in a duffel bag. Standing in the pub sub line, just like can't even blame him honestly. That chicken tender sub bucks, dude. It's actually on sale the week that I'm filming this. So I think I'm actually gonna go get one after I film this. Speaking of Bad Bunny, the halftime show, gorgeous. It happened quite a while ago, so I'm not really gonna go fully into it, but I think it was beautiful. I just feel like during this time and like being alive in this world, being proud of being Hispanic, of being Latino is so important. And I know I am a million times more proud to say that like I'm Mexican than at any other point in my life. I love celebrating my heritage and my culture, and I know you fucking white folks love y'all a good happy hour and margarita. But if you didn't get the halftime show, I'm not really here to argue with you. I hope Kid Rock was everything you ever wanted. Now, switching on to music that definitely wasn't for everyone. We're kind of going back a little bit, but we're talking about Mr. Harry Styles. Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. The second I saw the cover art, I was like, oh, it's gonna be different, but in a way that a lot of people are not gonna like. People are so used to songs like Matilda and like Fine Line, and I'm sure that this is gonna have disco in it. This is in the fucking name, and people aren't gonna like it, or people are just gonna be like, oh, this is way too different, like I don't know what he's doing, it's too much, like I really don't like it. And that's exactly what happened. It's like people's like least favorite album of his whole discography, and I don't really know why we're so surprised. Like he's always mixed in like disco aspects into his music. If you've been a long time fan of Harry, or even if you haven't been, when he was in One Direction, his versions of songs would always include like trumpets or synths or something completely different that they would never end up using in the final cut, just because they knew their audience, and they knew One Direction with trumpets, fuck no, the kids aren't gonna listen to that. So I am really glad that he finally embraced this like full techno side that he's been like teasing at a little bit. He has said in every single press tour interview that he's had like so much fun making this album and just producing it and like coming up with it. And I think that really shows. The tracks are fun and they're groovy and they make you want to dance. And he's always made music like that. Like every single one of his shows, he's been like, get up and fucking dance now. I went back and I saw him at his first show ever as a solo artist, and all I wanted to do was get up and dance. I also think this kind of shows like him as a person through his discography. If we look at like his first album, he's dealing through like some heartbreak. He's kind of like also trying to land on his 2 feet. I mean, he was in the biggest boy band in the world since the Beatles. Dude, we watched him grow up. He was like 16 years old, and now he's like alone, and he has the ideas and he has the capability to be this big star, but he has no one to rely on. And with each album, it's like less heartbreak and more so like, I'm really starting to have fun with life, and I actually really love life, and like things are nice. And you could tell that he fully trusts what he makes, and he trusts his team, and he trusts his fans to be like, this is ass, or like, oh, okay, like we see the direction we're going in, we're down to try it out. He even talks about it like when he went on Brittany Broski's show, like he really values the feedback that like the fans give him, and he's able to really bounce off of that. And I think now he's finally just like confident in everything. Things really seem to be working out for him. I mean, he's dating Zoe fucking Kravitz. Like, my God. Like, I'm sure this era for him is just like fun and upbeat. He's in a really cool relationship. He's in a really cool point of life. He took up running, like, and that's being reflected in his music. It's all fun and upbeat. And then, I mean, you get to like Carla's song and it's like, damn, like, how sad, you know? But it's the last track on the album. I mean, you're boogieing for like 11 songs first. My like all-time favorite song right now is Pop. I definitely feel like Complicated Freak and Medicine could have easily meshed in there, but like whatever, I'll create my own playlist with those 3 songs. And like this line in like Paid by Numbers, like they put an image in your head and now you're stuck with it. Like, hello, he's very obviously talking about like his life, but then also I'm sure like you can relate to that line, just like I can relate to that line too. And I think it also kind of shows that like Harry's kind of like at the same wavelength as us. He's just like millions of dollars richer. I could do an entire breakdown of this album and what everything means, but Brittany Broski already did that. So I'm going to move forward. You can go ahead and watch her video. You know what else Brittany Broski talked about though? heated rivalry, which I will be talking about. I honestly hopped on this heated rivalry train pretty fucking late. I'm pretty sure I watched it back in December, but there was already plenty of buzz from it back from like October. I was in like that in-between era, I think, of like waiting for episode 6 to drop. And when episode 6 came out, I refused to watch it. I binged episode 1 through 5 with my best friend, and I was like, yeah, so I wish I never saw that. Instead, I watched Stranger Things just to like kind of distract myself, because I was like, I cannot get this obsessed with something like this again. And it kind of sucks because I really missed that like peak of like everybody liking it. Granted, by December, people were still liking it. I mean, people still like that show, and they're still making like content, like fan edits and everything. But I feel like October, I saw it literally everywhere. Every person I knew had watched the show or was watching the show, and I don't know why. I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna watch it. But then my best friend and I binged episode 1 through 5 in a night, and I was like, great. Like, it wasn't until I think literally February that my best friend came over to my apartment and was like, have you seen episode 6? And I was like, no, and I refused to. And he just put it on the screen. He's like, you're gonna watch this, and you're gonna watch it right now. And I did. I completely understand why the ending ended the way it did. They didn't expect it to get picked up. They didn't expect it to get so big as it's is, you know. I just wish we would have learned like a little more. Like, again, the ending is perfect for it just being like a 1 season thing, but we know there's a season 2, and also there's more books, you know what I mean? I wish we would have learned a little bit about how Scott and Kip kind of like rekindled their relationship, because all we know is like they're kissing on national TV, and it's like, well, how did we get there? We were like in a big argument, and then we just didn't know what was happening. I hope in season 2 they kind of like go back a little bit, and they're able to like show those glimpses of like how everything healed and like came into how it is in present day. And I think like showing a relationship and showing a rebuild of a relationship like that is so important. Yes, this show is so important for representation, but I do think like showing different dynamics of relationships, which they do. I mean, considering like Shane and Ilya, and then Scott and Kip, they're very two different dynamics. I mean, Scott and Kip, it's more so like Scott is terrified out of his mind, can't even be seen with another man in an art gallery, while Kip is like, what is so wrong with being gay? Like, he cannot understand it. Then you have like Ilya and Shane, where they're both fucking terrified, and it's like, no, we have to keep this a secret, because like this can't get out. Like, we can't admit it to ourselves, and we can't admit it to other people, which is another dynamic that I know gay people can relate to. But as much as it can be relatable, I would like to see that kind of like rebuild also be available, to show that like you're gonna have to forgive your partner if you want it to work. You're gonna have to just like compromise. You're gonna have to do X, Y, and Z. And like, I feel like a lot of the times it's just like, oh, we fixed ourselves and now we're perfect and now we're like this amazing couple. It's like, how, like, showing that build, and like showing like those hard times, like those hard conversations of like confrontation and things like that. Like, I think that definitely needs to be shown, and I hope it is shown in the next season, where it's like they kind of go back and they like show the scene of like Scott and Kip, and it's like, okay, I love you, you love me, like we got to figure something out, we got to come to a compromise. I do really hate that people are just only taking the sexual aspect of it. Yes, it is a big part of the show, but so is the beginning of a relationship. Beginning of your relationship, you're typically going at it like fucking animals. But I'm seeing in the media everyone just being like, oh my god, men had sex on screen. Take, for example, like the most commonly used scene of like, we didn't even kiss. Us as a viewer, we know that like Ilya is going through something that Shane could never even relate to or even imagine. I mean, his family's using him as a bank. His dad is getting sicker and sicker. Yet he has to be across seas and like be this like shining athlete. And even just the fact of like Ilya shielding Shane from that pain, because he's scared, but also because he doesn't want Shane to worry about him, because he knows that Shane would worry about him. That's such a relatable like aspect of the show, that it's like, yeah, there's been plenty of times where like I won't tell my boyfriend something right away because it's like I don't want him to freak out, but also I don't want me to freak out, because once I say it out loud, then it's like super real. And I think that was like a really great way to like show that like they're both going through things. Shane's mainly going through like internal things, where like Ilya's dealing with things like everywhere, but he's controlling himself when he's with Shane. I mean, like, I'm so glad it's getting the recognition that it's getting. I just would hope and wish that people are not focusing so much on the sexual aspect of it and focusing more so on the story aspect of it, because it's so beautiful. It's so well written. That author, mwah, I wish her good health. I saw that like she like kind of postponed the release of like her next book because she's not doing well health wise, and like that's just really shitty to hear because she's such a good author. Representation matters always. Love wins always. Now for a topic that honestly is pretty sensitive to me, we're gonna see how I get through this, but we're gonna talk about Stranger Things. Now I was a massive fan of Stranger Things. It's not even funny. Season 3 was such a good time to be a fan of that show. I mean, the merch and like everything surrounding that show, I mean, it was endless. Even though it was leaked that like Hopper was still alive, like no one even cared. It was such a good plot. I mean, the mall, the fashion, everything had to do with Stranger Things. I mean, like they really have their audience like on such a hook. It was insane. The show had so much emotion. I would cry, I would laugh, I would get so attached to these characters. I mean, like, think about just how great of a script and cast the Duffer Brothers really had something so special. Season 4 comes out, and this is when they're starting their bullshit of like, oh, we're gonna wait for the last episode to be like fucking part 2. That shit was so fucking annoying because obviously I'm gonna wait until all the episodes are out so I can binge them. That's the whole point of watching the seasons. The seasons would all come out all in one go. You would sit. Bro, we had fucking like watch parties that were themed and it was so creative. Season 4 drops and not even 24 hours later, everyone's talking about Eddie's fucking death, which pissed me off. So I already went in knowing that Eddie was gonna die. Because like that was like the whole big thing, was that this like character that they loved so much ends up dying in the end. And then the last episode wasn't even much. It was just another cliffhanger for season 5. So now I have to wait even longer for this plot to end. And I honestly didn't even care for the show by the time season 5 came out. Same thing that I did with Heated Rivalry. I watched like all the episodes and then I went to New York. I had walked all these steps in the city. I was super tired. I went out to dinner with friends and my boyfriend was like, we've already gone this far. Let's just go ahead and finish off the show. And to be fair, I had fully gotten Danny into this series. When we first started dating, my best friend hosted like a watch party and I was like, hey, I would like for you to come, but you haven't seen the show yet. He binged the entire show in like 24 hours and was still watching like the last final moments up until we got to the party. And then we watched the last episode of season 4 just for him, or season 3, sorry, just for him so that we could watch season 4. So there we are, feet throbbing, walking 2,000 steps, cold, and I'm watching the worst piece of media ever put out. I'm just kidding, but I am pretty pissed off about it. Vecna terrorized this fucking town for like 5 fucking seasons, which in like Hawkins' time is like 4 years. All for these two fuckers to just run up and stab him so easily and he's dead. And then the whole fucking reason that we lost Eddie in season 4 is because he was like a huge distraction for like these mind flayer bats, and like everybody gets away because like he's like bait or whatever. Yet season 5, they're in the Upside Down just straight chilling for days. The only threat is the American US Navy military guy who's like looking for 11. But that's it. Where is the drama? What is going on? And then once this whole thing is over, first of all, where the fuck is Susie? They like mention her every now and again, but she's never talked about after season 3 or season 4, wherever the fuck she was in. And then everything happens. They drag Robin's girlfriend, the girl she's talking to, into this, and they like scare the fuck out of her and they show her like this world. And then after, she is never seen or talked about ever again. Ever. I think that's so weird. Like, where the fuck did she go? But yes, let's bring back the most useless character in the entire season, which was Callie. Sorry. And I don't mean useless as in like literally useless. I just think that whole plot with like the other kids really didn't do much. They're easily the most forgettable moment of Stranger Things. I constantly forget about them. Then like suddenly Callie is like a really important part in season 5, and she's like the whole reason that like 11 lives or doesn't live, or I don't even know. And then just the dynamics didn't make sense because yeah, Dustin and Eddie were pretty close, but Dustin and Steve were even closer. And then all of season 5, they're fucking beefing because like Dustin's all like, oh my god, like you don't understand, like I just lost my best friend, like blah blah blah. Bro, your best friend's right in front of you. It's Steve. It was always Steve. I never understood like the fucking like famous ass scene of like, oh, Henderson. Like, oh, is he here? Henderson. Are you fucking kidding me? And then now he's sitting there like, you wouldn't understand me. Bro, that is the number one guy that would understand you, actually. He's been there since the jump. Like, why is Eddie suddenly his rock? That doesn't make sense. He knew that guy for, like, not even a year. And then again, it's like the same thing with Vecna. They're arguing all season, and then in, like, 0.2 seconds, they're, like, hugging it out, being like, bro, like, I can't believe I did that to you, bro, you know I love you, bro. And then Nancy and Jonathan's proposal, like, what the hell was even that? I was so confused the entire time. Danny literally had to tell me, like, no, they're not engaged. Whole time I'm like, this is a pretty, like, it's kind of a cute engagement. You know, they're talking about old things. And Danny's like, no, they're breaking up. I'm like, how do you gather that? Like, they're literally like, the only part that I was like, oh, okay, like they're breaking up is when she throws the ring. But I'm like, even then, with the way that like Nancy works, that could 100% mean that they're still getting married. So that whole part I was also very confused about. And then this is the last thing I will say, because I didn't know I was going to be this passionate about this. I thought I was going to be way more passionate about Heated Rivalry. The way Will comes out in that show, I swear to you, I started just hysterically laughing during his monologue because oh my god. I'm gonna read the actual monologue, and I need y'all to understand just what I'm talking about. I'm like you in almost every way. We like playing D&D late into the night, and we like old person smell in Mike's basement, and we like biking to Melvlad's. Oh fuck. And we like milk duds and our popcorn with extra butter, and we like drinking Coke with Pop Rocks, and we like biking races and trading comics and NASA and Steve Martin and Lucky Charms and literally all the same things. I don't like girls. And it just keeps going on. And like, I get it. The whole thing was that like Vecna was talking through him, but like literally no one got that, including the characters. I'm sorry, but if bro literally was like, oh my god, when we used to go here and we used to drink this, and it literally was not something we've ever done in our life, best believe I'm being like, what are you literally talking about? The whole thing of like them getting like malted milkshakes like makes no sense because it's technically Vecna talking through him. Why didn't Will or literally any of them get up and be like, dude, we've never done that? And I feel like that would have hit the plot harder. Like if Will would have come out and just been like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, we never did any of those things. Then like the clock could have like hit, and it would have been like, oh shit, like, dude, it's fucking Vecna talking right now, dude, because like we've never fucking done that, but you know who has done that? Probably Vecna. And that would have made the like just that slight little like little moment could have made like such a big difference. They don't even have the characters react to it at all. They're all like, yeah, you're so right. When it's like they've never even done anything that he's talking about. And then the part where it's just like, and I like this like you and this like you, that part is what made me hysterically laugh. Not about the part of him coming out, that seems so really insensitive, but like I'm talking about the part where it's just like, we like milk duds with extra butter, we like drinking Coke, we like bike races, we like trading cards, we like NASA, we like Steve Martin. Like it just kept fucking going, and I was like, there's no way that like that should have ended tops 4 things that they all have in common. Also, is it not alluded that Jonathan knows the entire fucking time? And was it also not pointed out when Mike quite literally tells him in like season 1, like, oh, it's not my fault you don't like girls? What else is that supposed to mean? Like off rip, we've been talking about Will's sexuality, and now suddenly it's like the biggest moment in this season, when the biggest moment in the season should have been the fight against Vecna. And then everyone theorizing that show was going to happen in January honestly would have been such a banger. They should have had the fans writing this shit. I was putting shit together. I was like, oh my god, guys, wait. Because if they pull this off with this whole thing that's being theorized in January, this is gonna be the biggest thing in history. We're gonna make fucking history today. But no, they fucked it completely. And I can't even imagine being a Duffer brother and seeing all this theorizing that something's gonna happen in January. I'm sure they were sitting there being like, oh shit, we really fumbled that. That would have been fucking amazing to fucking film. But yeah, whatever. I've seen like behind the scenes of it, and like the cast just being like, hey, so like I actually don't know what my lines are for today. Oh brother. Anyway, I'm not talking about Stranger Things anymore because it's over, it's done, it's been done for months. Didn't think I was gonna get that passionate about it, but here we are. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode if you watched it all the way through. I don't really know how often I'm gonna post. I would like to say at least bi-weekly, if not like monthly, at like the absolute worst. But I know if I say weekly, it might be like a little too frequently for me, considering I am pretty active on like every other social media that I have. The editing is what kind of takes a bit, especially because I'm like putting a lot more effort into it. Obviously, like the setup and the gear and everything just takes a little while. I'm using a new camera, I'm using a new mic, I'm using new lights. I have a giant ass monitor now that like I can just like actually see like what the camera sees. Before I just had to kind of like go naked and blind and afraid. But yeah, I have my main channel and I'm posting vlogs on there now since my boyfriend and I travel quite a lot and I took my camera everywhere, so I'm just compiling those videos, putting them into a little vlog format and posting them. By the time this is up, I'll probably be editing my Chicago vlog, so you can go ahead and click right here, so you can just go ahead and subscribe, watch my main channel. You can go ahead and click here for my Instagram and right here for my TikTok. I'm pretty active on TikTok and I'm always posting stories on Instagram, so you can go ahead if you want my daily content, follow me on those. So yeah, thank you guys so much. So sorry I was gone for like a year, but I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye. If I have an outro by the time that this is getting posted, that would be sick as fuck. But I'll probably have an outro for next one. But anyway, bye.